To multiply exponential expressions and simplify completely. Here's example 1. Your expression on the left is where you start, and you're going to have all these items inside that you can simplify first instead of multiplying through by the exponent to start with. So 3 and 4 stay where they're at. You have x to the negative 2 over x to the negative 1. Those will switch places and become positive. So x over x to the second. Your y's are both positive, so they stay where they are at. On the other expression, 2 and 3 stay where they are at, but you have x to the negative third over x to the negative fourth. Those will trade places and become x to the fourth over x to the third. Y to the second on the bottom stays, and a y to the sixth goes with it from the top. Now simplify even further. Your 3 and your 4 stay, but you have x over x to the second. That leaves you with 1x on the bottom. And then y over y to the second leaves you with 1y on the bottom. On the right side, 2 and 3 stay where they are at. X to the fourth over x to the third. That leaves you with an x on top. And then y to the second, y to the sixth leaves you with a y to the eighth on the bottom. And now on the left-hand side, you can multiply through by the negative 2. In fact, you don't even have to write that step. You can do the operations as you see them. For example, 3 to the negative 2 on the top, that would go to the bottom and become 9. On the bottom, you would have 4 to the negative 2. That would be a 16 on the top. It must trade spots. X to the negative 2 on the bottom, we're talking about this. That would make x to the second on the top. And the same for the y. It would be y to the second on the top. This negative exponent forces the result here to go to the top and become a positive exponent. And then on the right side, all you are doing is trading places because it's a negative 1. It doesn't change anything except the position. So you would have 3y to the 8th on top and 2x on the bottom. So now you can cross cancel. You have a 2. I'll get my yellow marker out here real quick. You have a 2 into itself once and into 16 8 times. 3 into itself once and into 9 3 times. Now you can multiply straight across and have 8 times 1, which is 8. X to the second times no other x variable, so it's just x to the second. But you have a y to the second, y to the 8th, that is y to the 10th. On the bottom you have 3 times 1, and you do have an x, which means you're going to have to simplify that. X to the second over x leaves you with just an x on top. Your 8, 3, and y to the 10th stay where they are at. Here's another example. Inside the left-hand expression, you have a 5 and a 3 that will stay. But you have x to the negative 2, which goes to the bottom. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and combine as you're moving. X to the negative second moving to the bottom and combining with an x to the second gives me an x to the fourth on the bottom. You have a y to the sixth over y to the negative second. If I move that y to the negative second to the top, it's going to combine with the y to the sixth to make y to the eighth. And then we can go to the other expression. Keep the 10 over 9 the same, and you have x to the negative 2 over x. and you move the x to the negative 2 to the bottom, it'll combine with the x to make x to the third. Then this y to the negative third goes to the top, combines with the y to make y to the fourth. So now you can do the negative exponents. And 5 to the negative 2. 5 to the negative 2 would be a 25, but it would be on the bottom. And y to the 8th to a negative 2, that's y to the negative 16th. That would move it to the bottom, make it y to the 16th. Now with the bottom stuff here, 3 to the negative 2, that would make it a 9 on top. And x to the 4th to the negative 2, that's x to the negative 8th. And that would make it x to the positive 8th on top. So on the next expression, you have a 10 to the negative 2. That's a 100 on the bottom. Y to the 4th to the negative 2 is y to the negative 8th. That's y to the 8th on the bottom. And 9 to the negative 2 would be an 81 on top. And then x to the third, x to the negative second would be an x to the 6th on the top. So now you can just multiply straight across and get 729. X to the 8th, x to the 6th is x to the 14th. And then on the bottom, 25 times 100 is 2500. Y to the 16th, y to the 8th is y to the 24th. Try this one and drop it off. There's plenty of bonus problems to give out, so you can take your time. So we'll start by simplifying the left-hand expression. The 3 and the 2 will stay where they're at. The x to the negative third and the x to the negative second trade places, and that becomes x on the top, because you would have an x to the third over x to the second, and they would cancel out to simply x. The y to the negative 6 will go down and become y to the 7th, because it combines with the y on the bottom. And on the right hand side, 4 and 3 will stay the same. Then you have an x to the negative 1 that goes to the top, combines with x squared to be x to the third. Poorly written. X to the third. And then y to the first goes to the bottom and becomes y to the third, combining with the y to the second. Now we can distribute the negative 2 exponent. 3 to the negative 2 is a 9 on the bottom, and 2 to the negative 2 is 4 on top. That would also give us an x squared on the bottom and a y to the 14th on top. On the right hand side, we would have 16 on the bottom, 9 on top, x to the 6th on the bottom, y to the 6th on the top. You can cancel 4 into itself once, into 16 4 times. The 9s completely cancel out. So if we multiply straight across, we have y to the 14th times y to the 6th is y to the 20th. On the bottom, we have 4 x to the 8th power. On the left-hand side, you'll have 2 over 5. The x to the first goes to the top and combines to make x to the second. Y to the negative third goes to the top and combines to make y to the 5th. On the right-hand side, simplify first. 2 and 5. Make it easy on yourself. So there's a 5 over 2, and then these will trade places making x to the 6th on the top. And when you reduce those, it would be an x to the 3rd on the top. And then this goes to the top, combines to make y to the 3rd. Now go back and switch where necessary. This 2 to the negative 2nd is a 4 on the bottom, and that 5 becomes 25 on the top. These will go to the bottom and be x to the 4th, y to the 10th. And we'll have this becoming 25 on the bottom, and this becoming 4 on the top. These will both go to the bottom, x to the 6th, y to the 6th. Cancel 4 and 25. They are all gone. If you multiply straight across, you get 1 over x to the 4th, x to the 6th is x to the 10th. Y to the 10th, y to the 6th is y to the 16th.